So, Anne, take me to the start of the journey. What first comes to mind when you think of this whole thing?
Well, I was diagnosed with a soft tissue sarcoma, and I had a good 14-month journey beforehand, and going from doctor to doctor to find out what my symptoms were. And those symptoms were that I couldn't sleep, I couldn't lie down. I was up 5 to 7 times a night, had intense pain going down my leg, and I had even numbness on my right shin. And I went to neurosurgeons, after seeing the GP. I had numerous scans done, mainly of the back. In a sense, I feel I was probably misdiagnosed and they had missed it early on, and the symptoms were getting worse and worse. Then I suppose what happened was these unusual spots came up on the inside of my thigh, and they are what I now know of as sarcoma spots. And I went to dermatologists and, again, being misdiagnosed, told to put vitamin E cream on those spots, even though they were new spots. That we could take them off and biopsy them. Really, when you look back at it, it's rather silly. It was just unbelievable 14 months of trying to work out what it was. And some of the scans showed up that I had a hyper intense sciatic nerve. And no one really went and explored why that was hyper intense. And I suppose once the spots were taken off, this is like as we're going down the journey of about 13 months later, that's when we found out that we were dealing with a malignancy, and it was in the leg, not coming from the back, and it wasn't sciatica.
What were some of the conditions that were being thrown around or diagnosed before they found out?
Well, I had one physiotherapist say that their spots looked like shingles, which there weren't. Another one saying that I had, some nerve sheath, like a, I don't know what that was called. It's like a tear or
like a nerve irritation.
A nerve irritation of some sort, which will take many months to heal. Piriformis syndrome was a big one that everyone's saying that's the reason the piriformis was rubbing on the sciatic nerve.
For physios and health professionals watching, some of the signs that in hindsight have highlighted it wasn't sciatica was that it was unrelenting, unremitting pain at night. Your symptoms varied more than just nerve pain. It was pain through the leg, it was numbness, it was the sarcoma spots. How would you describe the sarcoma spot? What do they look like, that sort of thing?
Well, they popped up like a mosquito bite initially and were itchy like a mosquito bite. And then one of them remained like a reddish, bluish look, and another one was raised. So there were 3 or 4, I think. And they looked, each one was a bit different. So in hindsight, what was happening there was it was the cancer from within the leg coming out. So it also, and all that pain was because the type of sarcoma, it wrapped itself around the major artery in my leg and all the peripheral nerves and everything around that leg. So it was in the middle of the thigh. And
in terms of some of the imaging you had over 14 months, I know you had MRI, you had X-rays, nerve conduction studies, you had full neuro assessments by physios and GPs.
Past everything.
Past everything. What was the step, the sign, the symptom that got you heading to the direction you needed to be at?
It was probably when those spots came off, because they came back with the specific name and the type of sarcoma it was. And then what they did was they took away further tissue from the leg, a big chunk, which ended up being a skin graft, hoping that it was all gone. And all that was sent off to the hospital, the sarcoma people there. And, and then it was just one thing after the other after that.